Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
How was your trip?
My trip was pretty good. It was tiring and a good experience as well.
Mhm. Good. So, can you share a quick background about yourself for the listeners who don't know who you are and what you do?
Yeah, for sure. I'm a 23 years old aerospace engineering student,
Hmm.
and I'm on my 4th year, and that's it.
Great. So, I know that you have been here for over 8 years, almost. And when you came to Turkey, you were 16 years old. And so, the questions that I have is I want you to share your story when you came here at the age of 16 in a foreign country. You don't know the language and the people doesn't understand you as well. So, and all alone by yourself. So,
Well, it was a pretty weird experience, I would say, because it's basically like a newborn child coming to like newborn child like doesn't know how to speak, came to somewhere which is way different, people are different cultures, uh, and different wrongs, different mistakes. So it's basically pretty weird, and for me it was a really serious struggle, especially the culture and the language. But You get experience, and it's been 80 years, as you said. Yeah, it's been 80 years that I'm here. For me, coming to this 23 years old was very hard and very challenging at the same time. Basically, and if you look at the base of it, it was a really seriously milestones for me, as I experienced a lot of things during this time.
so looking back, the hard, the tough times that you had at a young age. So, if you can share one of the things that was really challenging for you and you overcome that.
Yeah, sure. One of the services, as I said earlier, mentioned that it was language
Mm-hmm.
that I overcame in actually 2 years. I started to speak Turkish, but this is a language problem. Probably is an
Mm-hmm.
everyone's problem. It's an everyone's problem. But the another serious problem it was knowing nothing. So you have to research and research and research to know better about the culture. And also, if you're going to have a goal in here, being a student, like you're planning to study in here. So basically, you need to really research where to study, what to study, and how to survive during the period of times that you are studying whatever field it is. Doesn't matter if it's engineering or it's what anything, even the from the hardest fields to there's no easy field, but yeah, like let's say more challenging, less challenging. So basically, you need to research a lot.
And if someone at that age, or doesn't matter, who who travels to a country where they will face the similar situation, what is the thing that would you advise them from
Mm.
your own experience that you think if you knew that you could it could be easier for you?
Yeah. I got you. So let me explain it this way. It's actually finding yourself during this period of time. When I say finding yourself is like, for me, um, I was in a crossroads in life
Mm-hmm.
when I came here, because I really did not know. I couldn't. I haven't discovered myself and like my own passion or my true passion. So this was the really serious problem that you have to find yourself first. When you go to a foreigner country, if the goal. So I'm gonna tell you about the goal to study in here. So the first thing you have to find out what do you want to study in here. What do you want to know about? What are you very interested about? When you start to find yourself, you need to also improve yourself in that way and put yourself on the standard of that country. Basically, I would be true. I would be true. Really, I would be honest to you. In the country that I studied was not basically a world standard country. The quality of the classes or the quality of the subjects and everything. But when I came to Turkey, it was a pretty much different. You also know I'm not actually like complaining for something which is not very right to do. But when I complain, I really mean it. So coming to Turkey it basically lead me to have my own discovering my own self, and then this was really a journey, but a transformative journey for me. When I say transformative, I mean like you learn by living here. So whatever you do in here, either it's long period or short period, you gotta leave that period to learn that. You're not gonna. If I tell you, I give you advices that do these today, you wouldn't be the same as me if like I had done in 8 years, because it's all about experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So definitely, I would say it's a experience. Some people experience in 8 years like me, but some people experience in 2 years and they get a lot of things. So it's all about that taking that thing.
Great. So let's talk about your field. So, as you said, you're an undergraduate at aerospace engineering, and was that the case from the beginning, or no?
Nice question, actually. Yeah. So, should I be honest?
For sure.
Well, no. No, that was not the case. So, as I said earlier, when I was discovering myself, I put myself in also a field like medicine. Yeah,
Oh.
that's very tough, like different thing. But yeah, I really seriously put myself in medicine. I thought that I would study that. Also, think of this when some old people like give you advices, not advice actually, suggestions. Like they're telling you, like your family, okay? So they're telling you that,
Yeah, that's where it comes from
yeah, like
most
you
of the
would
time.
you would say like, okay, you have to study medicine. You're like, okay, my dad says that, I believe him, so you would go with that. But the problem is here, your dad's like your dad's like your makes your dad excited, not you. So you basically go for his excitement. He gets excited, like, oh wow, my son is like studying this field. But the truth is that you don't like it. You don't want to study this. I didn't know it. So when my dad said, when my mom said, I was like, okay, this is my field. I'm gonna study. But seriously, when I said a crossroad, so this was a crossroad for me. Should I listen to some people who are experienced, or myself that I have nothing to do, or I have nothing to know about it? I didn't know anything at that time. So basically, you would listen to advices, but not all the time you gotta do everything that a person did. You gotta hear it. You gotta hear from you. I'm gonna hear it from someone else. I'm gonna hear from my, parents. But this is me who gotta decide what I want to be, who I want to be.
So, how long you were committed to study medicine? As far as I know, it was a long time, and I want to know the moment that made you make that decision, because I know you very well, and I knew how long you were committed for going for medicine, like, and it's really interesting for me to know that decision that made you, the thing that made you take that decision and go for something totally different. Like, aerospace and medicine are like two separate things. One of them is in the air and the skies,
True.
and the other one, you help people.
Well, there's this thing, okay? So I had if I say this and it will be better. I had a childhood fascination for engineering.
Hmm. How
Yeah,
come?
for engineering, not aerospace. Only engineering. What I thought of engineering was like, oh, if I build this building, or more like engines, if I do this engine, if I make something, when you were a kid and you're curious and you open screw on
Yeah.
like something and you are like opening the radio and fixing it, try to fix it, and you have this your remote control cars and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like those toys, and you just open it when it's like broken and you love it.
Mm-hmm.
Like while doing it, you love to do it. You love to fix it. So basically, my fascination was from childhood. But thing that made me like put me in crossroad was unfortunately my parents,
Mm-hmm.
and it took really long time. As you said, it's 4 years. Like honestly, it took me 4 years to
4
know
years.
myself, and during this time, I'm actually appreciating this 4 years. It's okay. I waited for something better.
Mm-hmm.
So I waited for 4 years to know myself, and after I knew myself, I was like, hell, I'm actually gonna be engineer. I can be engineer. I like math. I like physics,
Mm-hmm.
and all these. Studying medicine at the first point was a really, really, really struggle for me. If you ask why, is that I'm scared of blood.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
real. That's real.
I don't feel good when I'm at hospital. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I relate. During those 4 years that you were trying so hard for medicine, I'm sure there were times that you entered the exam. For the listeners that do not know, in Turkey, if you want to study medicine, it's really tough and you have to take certain exams and get a really high score so that you can enter to the universities. So the competition is really high. So in these 4 years, I'm sure you worked so hard to get that high score and enter, but somehow you could not enter to the university because of many things that goes on for being selected for medicine. So I'm sure there were times that you were disappointed because you couldn't make it year by year. So now looking back, what's the thing that you learn that can you always see a disappointment as a disappointment or opportunity that it will create for you in the future? Like maybe that's not something that's for you.
Basically, opportunity. And the problem for me in 4 years was that when I took the exams, I was so indecisive. So
Mm-hmm.
while even choosing the fields, I was really struggling. I choose opposite things. Like I choose like engineering with medicine, with I don't know, public relations. I know like if you're the committee, you're like this
Doesn't
guy
know
doesn't know anything.
doesn't
Yeah,
know
I
what
did a
he's
big
doing.
mistake actually. This was a big mistake for me.
Mm-hmm.
So while doing that, I experienced a lot of things, as you said. And in these 2 years, when I took yours, I did the same mistake twice. Still because I didn't know what to study. But then after that, I took SAT.
Mm-hmm.
SAT guy, I think everyone knows about SAT. So uh, when I went to SAT, really, I met a lot of good people in there
Mm-hmm.
who were really seriously knew about their own field before their study.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look, we were at the same position. We were preparing for a university exam, but there were people who knew about their own field already. There was this Iranian guy also like talking to me. We were speaking this time, and he was like in solving problems. He was like, I was like, oh, how do you know these all things? Like we haven't studied that. Oh, I want to study electricity, so for me, I have seen these all things. I was like, oh, really? Like, I was like, okay, so this means that I don't know anything about what I'm gonna study. Let's say medicine was my field. I didn't know about medicine at all, also. So it was basically their own passion. So I said, okay, this is being passionate on something. This is passion, actually. So I really started to think different after that. And I said, I have to be certain about some things. And then I decided what to study at that time. So it's so funny when I took ACT and after that I applied for the university. I entered. I got it. I got it. Even that time the email came like this. There was a medicine and there was an aerospace engineering. Really?
Really?
Yeah, I was like I didn't choose it, but they sent me. And they were like, we would get you for medicine, but we don't have enough code. I was like, oh, it's full. Basically, it was full. Like then I was like, okay, the only choice that I have is aerospace engineering. Then I entered it. That way, it's like God sent me a message or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, like I got the email and then I choose the aerospace engineering. And after that, before I study or I start aerospace engineering, then I started to study about aerospace and everything, more basic and not space but aircrafts.
Great. So, talking about that, I also want to know your future goals with your current department and with the struggles that you came with, the department which you met in the last minute, like we can say. So, how important it is for you and where is your destination with what you do?
My destination, NASA, probably. Yeah, my destination. My definitely. This is my dream. So this might sound exaggeration, but this is not exaggeration really. For me, it's like, in games when you have the big boss, like the big one comes at the last level, like you have to pass the first levels so that you're like 99 level and there's a big boss coming to you and you have to kill it. That's like that for me. So I need to pass these levels that I am right now to reach that out. If I couldn't, I still will reach near to it, as much as near I can go through. So basically, if we talk technically, um I'm interested in designing. So designing aircraft, designing spacecraft, more spacecraft, which I also have some projects that I'm gonna introduce to later, maybe. So yeah, basically designing and a good company, SpaceX. That's also a dream for me. And yeah,
NASA and SpaceX, it's a big goal and it takes work. So, you having that dream, what do you believe that what you believe that it takes for you to get there?
it will take a lot of things from me,
Mm-hmm.
but it will worth.
Mm-hmm.
So while doing this at the first time, like at the first point, I need to really be as much as good that I can be fit in that kind of those amazing. I mean, NASA is more like a governmental, but SpaceX is a private company. So being in there is a dream always, but it really will take a lot of effort. First of all, I need to do a lot of research. I need to have a lot of projects to do. I need to be good in in those projects, and I need to know that I'm still the same thing. That is like it's like a deja vu for me, because as I couldn't decide what to do at the first, and now I have to decide. I really have to decide what I want to do. So and go through that and be good in that part, or let's say if it's designing, I have to be best at designing. I have to do the best that I can do for designing, and I have to have the focus of myself on that, not separating my focus on different things. Should I do this or should I do that? Because that's not the time. I'm in fourth year, so I have to focus on that. So right now I'm doing as much as I can do. I'm focusing on that designing part, and I'm going through that. I'm gonna do that. This is my goal that I'm saying that I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna be one of those members of those companies that I mentioned, and I'm trying to be as much as I can, and fit myself into there, and I will give everything I can do for this.
I'm sure you will. So the next thing I'm going to ask from you is about what you think and what are your thoughts about the students who has strong passion for their choosing fields but doesn't necessarily put the effort and the work towards their goals. So what's your take on that as a third year student who's passionate as well, but he's after what he wants? So what do you think?
I wanna explain something really quick. It's not gonna be quick, but yeah, let's say it's quick.
It's okay, I can go for it.
Thank you for you, and it's actually about the self doubt. So I'll let you know also like an example of something that I experienced. We have a rocket project, as you know. Also,
Mm-hmm.
we have a rocket project, which is we it's we gonna participate in Technofest. So this rocket project, um, when I start to think about it, I try to explain, my excitement to someone. That I'm like, I want to make rockets.
Mm-hmm.
This is a weird thing, right? Like when you say that I'm gonna make a rocket, the person will say that, "Are you? Like you're gonna do more rockets?" That's kind of weird feeling when you hear this from someone, because you are so excited. Then when they say it, you feel like it's impossible, probably because they are saying it in that way. That person has a self doubt.
Mm-hmm.
When I say self doubt, is this? So it's making a rocket. Okay, when you say making a rocket, the person in front of you thinks like this, because there are a lot of wrong ideas about it, and he'll like think about this like, okay, if you're gonna do rockets, it's like very fast, but this is like 1 second he thinks about it. If I do rockets, how I'm gonna make it, who I'm gonna get the information from,
Mm-hmm.
the money, the financial, this, that. You think about all these things in 1 second.
Yeah, so I'll add something to what you just said. So, Tim Grover, he was the coach of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. So he has a similar story, and he talked about it on his book. It's basically the same thing. And he said that, so there was a professional athlete, so he had an injury, and he was okay. He could play, and but he started to doubt himself because of the media, because of everybody was talking about, can he do it? Can he do it with the injury? And it was an important match. So that athlete called Tim Grover. He was his coach at the time, and basically Tim Grover said that I have nothing to do with your injury. You already know the the staff already take control of how you should throw the ball, how you should land. So it will be okay. You can play, but the things that goes on with you is your mentality. Like you got mental issues because of what people says, and you have consumed a lot of that you started to doubt yourself. And so then he has a really good saying which I relate to, and I constantly remind myself when I face similar thing. So he says, don't think. You know what you should do? You know how you should do it? What's stopping you? It's the same thing. And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The same thing happened in here too. So, as you said, when I had this feeling, it was a great, by the way, story that you said it. I think most of the people who wants to do something big will face this. This is like, look, there are things in life that are standard. There's no need for me or for you to talk about it. It's a standard. You gotta face it. But when someone said it, you're like, oh, yes, that happened to me too. So it's basically like that. But really, the problem when we say the biggest problem is the self doubt, it brings you to this also. So making a project, it has some levels. So this is first of all, like at the first, you gotta have the project selection. You need to select your project, what you want to do, and then you go for research and planning. People might do that also with you. Those who are not, they like have, let's say, less self doubt, they go through it. They're like excited. Oh yeah, let's do it. What they do is that they're good with you when you select your project because you already say your project to someone, right? That I have something like this idea. Let's work together. Then you tell him or her and yourself also, or that team, let's research, let's plan what to do. So you do this. There's no problem. The people will be like okay with it. They're exciting still. The excitement is still in there. Then you have a team collaboration. They're happy. Oh yeah, let's also have fun on weekends as a team and stuff like that. You're good with that. Also happy. Everything goes well. You were like thinking that okay, here we go. We got a team. But the problems start from this when you evaluate the risks. So you tell them about the risks. You tell them that you would have something, something to give to this, or something to give to this for this. New ideas, being innovative. When it comes to it, they're like, start doubt. Next level, this is like they kick out themselves. The next level is when you do mistake. Let's say this year your project does not pass. Why? You had this mistake, this mistake, this mistake. Okay. They're like, I'm done with that. We have already a lot of mistakes. So they're not supposed to, they don't want to learn from their own mistakes. They don't want to see their own mistakes. They don't want to see that they did wrong. So what it leads you to, you're being selfish. You might think that whatever you're gonna do, or if it's my project or it's my idea, I had to be really good in this. No, I never did this thing before, and you are not supposed to say this all to me, because I'm trying to be someone who is going to do mistakes and who is going to learn from this. This is important. Learn from your mistakes. So exactly at this point, people drops. Then they're like stopping their own selves. And they're like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and that's why. Yeah, and that's why there is successful winners and losers, because if you don't make mistakes, how are you going to learn? How? Like, I'm not born with doing podcasting. For sure I'm gonna do a lot of mistakes, but I'm willing to learn from those and make that mistake so that I can know I have weakness here. And it goes back to how much you want that thing, how much important it is for you. So if that project is important for you, no matter how many times it gets rejected, the end goal for you is to succeed at that. So if you make mistakes, you go back, you look what you did wrong, you apply that, you go for it again, because you have one goal, and that's succeeding at that. So there's a mindset difference with the people that you work with, you know. I don't think they wanted the reward, you know. They really wanted the thing. So if they wanted, so they would apply and learn from what they did wrong, so that they don't make it again. That's what SpaceX did, actually. You know better than me, but I'm not much into space, I I follow Elon Musk, so I know the story with the rockets that he did. So the last one that succeeded was actually, if that was going to fail, there would not be an SpaceX. And what they did was learn what they did wrong and apply that.
Exactly. So this is basically the output.
Mm-hmm.
You should not not really expect that output should be the best.
Mm-hmm.
Even in coding, when you do something, when you write something, the output is not always 100%. You can make better. You can rewrite. You can edit. You can do a better one. And really, it's a really weird thing. By the way, it's really also interesting. Basic example. When I did my own podcast, by the way, if those who don't know, I'm also podcasting at Aerospace Hunger. If you're like excited or fun with that space, just go and watch our videos. It's not very technical, but not very also fun.
And sure, make sure to follow if you are into space.
Thank you so much. So in there, even when I started it, basic, really basic thing, making a cover for your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I did something. I made a design in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I looked at it, like how can I make it better? There were mistakes that I did. How can I make it better? What I did was like sending the cover to everyone. Not everyone. I mean, those who I know, like near,
Who you
close
wanted
to me.
to hear their opinion.
Exactly, like their honest opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me how is it. So one of them was him, by the way. He gave me really good ideas also about it. So while doing that, I did like, I don't remember exactly, but 20 designs in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I looked at it like from where it came to where.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of mistakes in there,
Mm-hmm.
but the ending was so good.
Yeah, it came out really
So
good.
exactly, that's the thing.
Yeah. So about your podcast, why you do it? What drives me to do it?
True, I'm crazy. Well, Aerospace Hunger was okay. Aerospace Hunger, of course. I'm aerospace engineer. I'm not engineer, but like student. But I'm gonna be in few months probably or years. The thing that made me do it was, of course, space. But at the same time, do you know like taking picture of yourself when do you like you might right now thinking about imagine your 5 years old picture or 10 years old picture that you have
Mm-hmm.
taken and you see it now and then you're like this picture I'm so ugly in here, that, right? Like
Yeah.
that idea. So you're like I'm so ugly, I should have been this way, like I could have did this, I could have worn this. So basically you're like when you take that picture in that time and you see it now, you see your mistakes, your missings in there.
Mm-hmm.
What you don't have, what you could make it better at that time. So it's basically capturing yourself and looking at yourself back. So I thought of a podcast this way. how I can take a picture of my own mindset, my own information, my own knowledge. I thought of podcasts this way. So I started to think like this, and I was like, I want to capture inside of my brain so that in 10 years or 5 years, I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to say that, okay, that time I was speaking like this and I had these informations and now I have these all things. Then I would look at that and I would say that I should do this so that it will be better. So it's basically capturing my own brain. So, and also at the same time, of course, I'm doing my best to give ideas in a simpler way. So, space and aircraft is like very, very complex. But I'm trying to say it in a more simple language and give it to the audience who are like, or who those who also watch it. Give them the simplest way of how to go through something or some information about space, at the same time aircrafts. And by this time I'm also learning, I'm also researching, I'm also gaining a lot of things from it. So yeah, that was basically how I started it.
Great. So thanks for coming. It was really fun talking about all those things. I hope we provided some perspective or value for the listeners. So I want to end this episode with a quote from you, which is on your mind for these days, past months.
I could, I probably also said it, but I would highlight it again. But first of all, let me thank you also for inviting me. It was a really great session and with you. Um, I also wrote it here. Really, I'm gonna be honest. So it's all about when I want to summary all the things. It's that self-discovery is a journey, but transformative.
Great. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. So we will see you on the next episode.